Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. We are back with more Reddit content per popular request. I recently made a video basically taking some posts from Reddit and giving my 2 cents. You seem to really enjoy it, so we're doing it again today. So I went through a few different subreddits. I found 5 different posts that I thought were pretty commonly asked questions or misconceptions related to fitness, and today we're gonna break them down. But before we dive on in, if this is your first time here, hi, my name's Justina. I am a New York City-based personal trainer who loves breaking down complex concepts so you understand how your body works. If that sounds good to you, I would love for you to stick around by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. We're getting close. We're crawling up to 100K, so I would love your help to get there if you're down for it. So hit those buttons and let's go. Hey all, I really need to start working out in the morning before work. It's about to be the season of afternoon hangs in the park with friends, and I don't want to lose this streak that I'm on. I have to be out the door at 7:30 to get to work on time, and I usually wake up around 6:30, 6:45, so this morning I set my alarm for 6. I don't have the worst time waking up, but I feel groggy for hours sometimes. Sounds silly, but what's your order of operations here to successfully get it done? I tried working out this morning. I work out at home, but only made it about 20 minutes before I started to feel faint and had to lie down so I didn't pass out, and I still don't feel very awake. Coffee first. I normally have a protein shake for breakfast as I'm not a huge breakfast eater. Do I eat something right when I get up so that I don't feel faint and then protein shake after? How do I shake the grogginess? Any other tips for making sure you crush it first thing? Picturing a bright future where I get up without wanting to cry, crush my workout, and feel accomplished and energized. Such a great question. So obviously without knowing you or this person who asked this question, I'm gonna be like throwing we're gonna like throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. So I wanna start with just like some more basic tips, and then we'll dive into more of the nutritional aspect of things. Before we even touch on like the grogginess, I would just say in general, there's a few things you wanna do here to set yourself up for success and increase the chances of you actually getting up and doing your workout. Number 1, lay out your clothes ahead of time the night before. This means less decision making in the morning, there's less time wasted, and I would argue lay out your workout clothes and your work clothes. So again, you just have less decisions. They're all made for you. There's no decision fatigue. Tip number 2, while we're at it, prep everything for the rest of your day the night before. Your work bag, your lunch, basically just anything you're gonna need. Again, the less decisions, the more likely you are to just get up, roll out of bed, go for the workout. I know this person isn't having a hard time getting up, but in case you're one of those people, I would say to set your phone or your alarm clock, whatever you use as an alarm, set it across the room when you go to bed at night. This is twofold. Number 1, that means you can't scroll on your phone if you use your phone as an alarm, which I'm assuming most of us do. You can't be scrolling until all hours of the night. And number 2, it forces you to physically get up out of bed, which is going to increase the chances of you staying up and out of bed and getting up to do your workout. Another tip is to splash your face with very cold water. This is something that could help with the grogginess. I do this on mornings where I do have a 6 a.m. wake up, and it's just a really great way to kind of wake up your nervous system and honestly put you in a little bit more that fight mode. But also being a little groggy when you start your workout in the morning isn't inherently bad. I would honestly take a look at your warm up, and is it really ramping you up strategically into the workout? You know, ideally you're starting with kind of like your general mobility and movement prep, then you're getting into stuff that elevates the heart rate a little bit more. Then we're getting into stuff like plyos and potentiation, stuff that's really prepping you for the specificity of what's in your workout. That way you're really ready, not only like physically, but mentally to start your lift by the time you actually get to like the bread and butter of your workout. Now let's dive into nutrition. So if you're feeling faint, you probably should eat something beforehand. I see this sometimes with my like early morning clients. Most of the time it's just that your blood sugar's dropping, and so you're starting to feel a little faint and woozy. So even by having something that's like quick carbs, maybe just a banana before your workout, that's gonna be super easy. A protein shake, I think, is a fine option. 2 things there. Number 1, make sure you do have some sort of carb source in there. If you're just taking it like straight protein, there's no carbs, it's not gonna do too much for you during your workout. But number 2, I can't do a protein shake or like a smoothie or something before I work out, basically something liquid, because I feel it sloshing around the whole time and that makes me feel sick. So I would say banana, rice cake, piece of toast, like something that's a quick carb. I think you're gonna get more bang for your buck. I think it's also gonna help with the grogginess. And then after, you can finish it out with your protein shake. That was a lot of stuff. Again, we took spaghetti, we threw it at the wall, we're gonna hope something sticks. And this is where you come in. You need to take note along the way, what's working, what's not working. And as you're going along, start to stow away the good things like in your little toolbox. You know, this worked really well, I'm gonna put it in my toolbox, even just down to the fact of like stowing away the good feelings that come along with this. Whether it's, wow, I'm really proud of myself that I actually got up and did that workout this week, put it in your toolbox. I was able to go to the park with my friends because I knocked out that workout in the morning, put it in your toolbox. These mental memories we have of positive associations with workouts have been proven to make us more consistent over time. Question number 2, feeling demotivated. Why is weight loss so slow for us small girls? Why is weight loss so slow for us small girls? Great, we got there. I'm 5 feet tall and my weight started at 51.5 kilograms on January 11th. Now on March 19th, I'm down to 48 kilograms, but I honestly don't see any difference. Since January 28th, I've been eating at a calorie deficit, cut out alcohol, walk 10,000 steps daily, and do Pilates 2 to 3 times a week. I'm baffled. How am I not seeing any change? At this point, I'm starting to wonder if something's wrong with me. Any advice? I'm feeling so demotivated. Dude, that's super frustrating. I have a few ideas, so let's jump into it. So number 1, we actually already covered in the last Reddit roundup video why it is harder for smaller bodies to be losing weight at like a more rapid pace. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, go back and watch the original video. But in this specific case, I actually do have an idea of what's potentially missing. Strength training. I think this person's doing an amazing job with their nutritional habits because they've already seen some weight loss occur. Getting in their daily movement, doing Pilates 2 to 3 times a week, I think is great. And I do actually think it's interesting that this person hasn't seen any change, which we'll come back to in a second. The glaring thing that is missing here is strength work. If you want to change your body composition, strength training will do that. It is going to change basically your ratio of lean to fat mass. Pilates is fantastic. It is not strength training, so therefore it is not a replacement for strength training. Unless you're doing like really concentrated, like hypertrophy style reformer work where there is external resistance, you're not going to be able to build much muscle mass unless you're like maybe completely new. But then again, that is going to stall out over time because that's just newbie gains, which we can talk about in a different video. So I would say that is the number one thing that's missing here. And I would start implementing a day a week of strength training. If that feels like it's too much, maybe you replace one of your Pilates days with strength training. Eventually, I'd love to get you up to 2. 2, I would say, is like the bare minimum for most people. 3, I think, is the sweet spot. But again, like you want to start slow, build these habits over time, make sure that it's manageable and sustainable. Another thing that I'm just going to question, like how are you measuring progress? Are you taking progress photos? Are you only using the scale? Are you, gauging how specific pieces of clothes fit? So I would want to, if you were my client, I would chat through with you of like, how are we measuring progress specifically? And not just like randomly on a day being like, oh, I don't see any change. You know what I'm saying? But then honestly, the last thing here, and But honestly, the last thing here that's just a little bit of food for thought is it has only been 2 months. And especially on smaller bodies, change takes time. I would urge you to be consistent with these habits for an entire year before you start jumping to the conclusion that there's something wrong with you. Long-term consistency is going to be key. And unfortunately, 2 months is just not a long enough period of time. So stick with what we're doing, add in a day of strength training, ideally maybe in a few months when you get comfortable with it, you add in a second day, then come back in a year. And if you still absolutely see no visible changes, then we can jump to something's wrong. Question number 3, consistently feeling different lower body exercises in lower back. Hi, I'm finding I'm frequently feeling different lower body exercises in my lower back despite troubleshooting my form, trying lower weights, etc. Usual suspects include RDLs and cable kickbacks. It's limiting my enjoyment in the gym because I feel like I'm being ineffectual and might be about to injure my back. Does anyone know what the fundamental issue is likely to be? Could it be a weak core? If so, should I work on this before trying triggering exercises again? Thank you. All right. Even though you have troubleshooted your form, I'm going to sit here with my full chest and say 100% it is a form issue. It has nothing to do with your core inherently. Let me show you how I see most people doing RDLs. So see how the weights are traveling really far away from the body? And if we slow this down, you're going to see that at some point my hips stop moving back in space and the hinge point shifts up to my low back. Essentially what that means is that you shifted the prime mover from your glutes to your low back. So what I want you to do instead is keep the weights weights nice and close to you. We're trying to create a vertical path right here, straight up, straight down, point A to point B. Shave your shins with those weights, going straight down, straight up. And once your hips stop moving back in space, that's the end of your range of motion. If you don't have a lot of range of motion, that's a different issue with your movement prep, with the space you're able to create in the back of the hips. That's a whole separate video. But once your hips stop moving, that is the end of your range. And if you keep going, you're gonna put it into your low back. Moving into the cable kickbacks, this is how I see most people doing them. We are creating way too much range of motion and we're putting it into the low back. We wanna stop a little bit shorter because once we go above the hip height, you can see again, it's no longer the glute shortening in that position. Now we're going into lumbar extension. So you wanna stop shorter, use your breath, exhale as we're lifting, and that's gonna keep the movement in the glutes, not into the low back. And look, in both of these drills, are you gonna feel your low back stabilizing? 100%. That's fine and that's normal. But if we feel either pain, like sharpshooting pain in the area, or if it's like we're mostly feeling low back, maybe like a little bit of glutes, then that's when we wanna really look at form, our bracing mechanics, all of the above. Oh God! Now you have to give me a kiss. No, we're keeping this in. That's what you get for scaring me. Kiss, please. Money, please. So anyway, if you, the person who wrote this, anybody, if you ever have questions about your form, you are more than welcome to send me a form video and I will give you feedback free of charge. Next question. Whew, she's a long one. Okay, I can't read all this. I mean, like I can, but I'm not going to. Let's get the basics. Heather Robertson's 5.0 program, rest time between exercises. This person's doing Heather's program. Is it just me or is 20 seconds of rest between exercises a bit short? I feel like I barely get a chance to breathe, which makes me feel weirdly out of shape, even though I know that I'm not. Skipping down, this person compares it to Caroline Gervin's Iron program on YouTube. She loved how simple and to the point it was, but she got feeling really bored by the end. I'm very curious about your point of view, and if you have recommendations for similar programs to Iron, to the point, no talking throughout, focused on strength, I'd love to hear them. So essentially this person is questioning the rest time prescribed in Heather Robertson's program because it's making her feel like she can't really keep up, and she's looking for a recommendation that's more similar to Caroline Gervin's Iron program. Let's talk about it. So 20 seconds of rest falls into the strength endurance realm of training. Typically for strength endurance, you want to program 30 seconds or less of rest with 12 plus reps of an exercise. So if this is a strength endurance program, that's actually very appropriate. I would say if you need more rest, your weight is probably too heavy. This is why 20 seconds of rest is not something that's programmed for goals like hypertrophy, power, or max strength, because you would have to drop the weight to actually stay within the programming guidelines of the set and rep scheme with the rest prescribed. Now, I did look at the program description, and aside from throwing in the term progressive overload, which could apply to any goal under the sun, I don't know what this program is training for. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a strength endurance program. I don't know what the goal is. So I can't really comment on the rest prescribed. Then this person said that they tried Caroline Gervin's program, the Iron one, I think she said. She really enjoyed it, but it felt really repetitive by the end. So they want something that's similar, less repetitive, and no talking. So you want a mute body to follow. Sorry, that was kind of petty. It does kind of annoy me when people are like, I don't want you talking. Just show me with your perfect body what I should do. Don't talk to me. Don't voice opinions. Don't give your 2 cents. Don't coach me. Just get me fit. I don't know, like that's always how it feels to me. I understand everyone has different preferences, but like, I would, to actually be helpful and stop being a petty bitch, I would argue that you don't understand why the 20 seconds of rest is there, or you don't understand maybe why, talking about the last person, why your form is off and why your low back hurts, because no one's coaching you, because no one's giving you the insight. Even looking at the description pages of these programs, I have no idea what the purpose is. I have no idea what the goal is. So I have no idea what to expect. So if I'm in it and I'm not doing well, I'm gonna feel totally lost because I have no one telling me what I should be feeling, why we're doing things. I'm not saying you need an anatomy lesson every time you're doing a workout, but I think a little bit of insight is helpful. Anyway, I did look at the Iron program and it does seem to be a hypertrophy program. I mean, I have an 8-week program. It's called Build. It's a hypertrophy program. You're not gonna like it though. It is fairly repetitive, which you do need for a hypertrophy goal. Like you can't have the best of both worlds there. I like to think that it's programmed in a way that keeps it exciting, but there there is quite a bit of repetition over the 8 weeks. Also, I coach you through the whole thing, so you'd fucking hate it. So I have no recommendations, but hopefully that does answer some of your questions. Let's move on to the last one. Ooh, we have a running question. Is this even possible? I accidentally registered for a 10K in mid-May that has a hard completion time of 1 hour 15. In my defense, the registration did not include the information until I paid. Very unimpressed. In your defense, that's crazy. Anyway, I'm currently running about 10 miles per week with a 38-minute 5K time. Race is in mid-May. I've been running less than a year and haven't got any athletic base to speak of. Is this even possible? I'm currently working with Hal Higdon's 15K novice plan because directly after the 10K, there's a 5K walk and run I'm planning to do with group. Wait, I'm sorry. That is wild. 1 hour 15 completion time. That's not impossible. And for you too, like the person asking the question, but it's odd. That's like 12-minute miles, which like is slow. I'm going to put that in big old quotes because fast and slow is relative. So again, it's not impossible for this person. They're running a 38-minute 5K right now. So 2 of those is like, oh good. Past Justina did the math on the notes. 2 of those is 1 hour 16. But you do want to go like a little higher on your projected time because like running 2 5Ks in a row, like you're going to slow down. Anyway, let's take some quick advice. Number 1, Hal Higdon, great programs. I have heard even like the novice programs are a little advanced. So like just be wary there. Just give yourself a little bit of grace. I know you want to like kick yourself in the butt to like finish in this ridiculous completion time, but like really pay attention to your body and how you're recovering. I would say something that's a little bit more on the actual novice side would be the Nike Run Club's 10K training program. I've done their 5K one twice through now, and I really love it, especially as someone who's definitely a beginner runner. I'm working through the 10K one now. It's very achievable. So I don't know, take that as it is, take it with a grain of salt. Some looser and more general advice. Make sure that most of your runs are slow. Like you should have a solid amount of recovery runs during the week. The reason for this is if we think of our aerobic capacity as like a triangle or like a pyramid, you need to build a base to be able to reach those peak performance levels, which we're going to call a peak performance level, your race pace. And your race pace, literally we have a goal here. It needs to be under 1 hour 15, okay? But to be able to get to that level, we need a lot of support at the bottom. It'd be like building a building with a really small base. It would be like going to deadlift 300 pounds when you haven't mastered a kettlebell deadlift yet. So I would recommend, especially because this is quite a bit of a jump in a goal for you, I would recommend trying to run 5 times a week. How you program this in terms of the actual like mileage and everything, I am not equipped to give advice on, but I can give you the basics of what to focus on. I would say 2 need to be recovery runs, 2 speed runs, and 1 long run. All of these things are going to be working on different things. Building your base, improving your lactate threshold and your VO2 max, and then pushing yourself in distance and pace. We can get into all of those things in a different video, but those are just the basics for now. And again, how those things are actually structured, the nitty gritty, you're going to want to focus on following someone like Hal Higdon or the Nike Run Club or 8,000 other people who offer running training. So to answer your question, it is possible, but literally what the fuck? That's so weird. I'm with you. That's weird. So anyway, that's the whole video. Hopefully you guys liked part 2 of this as well. Maybe we'll start to make it like a recurring series every few months. I tried to pick questions that I've seen before or, stuff that I felt like could apply to a lot of people. If you have a tricky question that you would like answered, please leave it down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and I will see you in the next one.